Where are we at? Let's talk about Nick Saban. Okay, Nick Saban came out today and he refused, via the media, essentially refused to release a depth chart. He claims it's because his players read the headlines and they think it's finalized and it becomes a bit of a distraction. His theory is that, hey, I got guys competing for jobs. If I let them know who's the guy actually winning the job, then maybe the guy who didn't win the job thinks that's permanent, even though it's not around here. This is Alabama, right? All this stuff. It's not the case, okay? It's just not how it works. And he knows this, okay? And anybody who's played football knows this, okay? Football players know who the one is. They do, okay? They know who's winning the battle. They're at practice all day, every day. They see who takes the reps. They know who gets the reps. They know how coaches are coaching them in the meeting, okay? We as players, we can tell by practice. We as players, we can tell by the game plan, okay? We as players, we can tell by the way we are being coached. We know. Players know. They know in that room. Everybody, if you're a corner fighting for a job right now, you know. It's Tuesday of game week. We know. We know who's about to take the reps with the ones. If we don't, that's led me to assume that you are a poorly planned and poorly executed and poorly practiced football program. And guess what? You are not. You are Alabama. You are Nick Saban. This idea that players don't know where they stand right now, that is the antithesis of everything you've ever created. Players know exactly where they stand. That's how Nick Saban and Kirby Smart run their program. They're forthcoming with their players. That's why the retention rates are so high at both these programs. They don't bullshit nobody. They're very forthcoming, very honest and open. This is the deal. This is where you have to improve. This is how you get better. All these things. This is what goes on. So they know. So this idea that players are going to turn it off or turn it on, depending upon where they stand on some mythical piece of paper that you're releasing to the media, it's fugazi. So why do this? Why come out and control this information like this other than just that, right? It's all these coaches, man. It's Kirby Smart. It's Nick Saban. It's Bill Belichick. Hell, even Kyle Whittingham's doing it right now at Utah. I don't understand the need to control information. I just understand that it happens. These college football coaches, man, they're different. Every single one of these coaches is extremely methodical with the information with which they release. They want to control narratives. And how do you do that? You control information, particularly depth chart information. Right? I can't allow a narrative to be created if I don't give the narrative juice, right? If I don't give it any type of intel. Okay, again, every single one of these coaches is like this. Kirby especially talks about this all the time in terms of like not allowing outside noise to impact their building. All of them talk about this. Keep the things in-house, right? Avoid all the outside noise, block it all out, horse blinders, all that cliche stuff, right? And then every single opportunity, all these coaches, every single opportunity they get, every single one of these coaches is afraid to give any information to outsiders in fear of narratives being created. So I ask you this. It's so weird to me, all of these coaches, every single one of you jokers, y'all preach to your players, hey, outside noise, block it out, outside noise, outside noise. We don't do that, we don't do that. And then the moment you're asked to provide any type of information to where narratives and outside noise can actually be created, to where you can test your theory of whether or not your team's actually blocking out noise, you duck it. Every single one of y'all. Y'all hide the information, y'all hold the information to protect some narrative when your whole message is block out the outside noise. It's weird. Why not just give it to me? Why not just tell me who you're rolling out there?
Maybe it's because you want to remind everybody that you're in control of what goes on, and like you want to let the people know like who the alpha is in this situation, that they get to control.
You think
what
it's
they
a
want
power?
to.
I
guess like that's the only like kind of sense I can make out of that as to why a coach would do that and why they would stand so firmly on it.
Fam, you don't need a competitive advantage over Middle Tennessee State. You don't. They're preparing for all of them anyways. They're going to see them all because ideally they're down 42-0 in the third quarter. So they're going to see all of them anyway, so they're going to be preparing for all of them. So, like, there is no competitive advantage here. By the way, your SEC schedule or your real schedule starts next week, okay? Texas ain't going to get no advantage from what you say this week anyways. All the advantage they're going to get is going to come from what you put on tape Saturday against Middle Tennessee State. Where's the rub? Where's the juice?
The only thing I can guess is that it's not done for the players to, prevent outside noise as it is as much to just keep fans at bay. If Nick Saban puts out a depth chart week one and then say it's Jalen Milroe. Say Jalen Milroe is a quarterback and then come the Texas game, he puts out Ty Buckner. Then the narrative automatically becomes amongst fans that, oh my God, something must have gone horribly wrong. They must not believe in Ty Buckner. Jalen Miller must not have done well, yada, yada, yada. Where I think is if you don't have that depth chart and you kind of just, what I think is going to be a carousel of quarterbacks in this first game, because I don't think they know who the starter is either. So I think if you just have that 3 rotation, then by the Texas game, you have your starter. That's kind of what my theory is on it.
And when you're playing a team like Middle Tennessee, why not instead just say, well, we're going to use this game to figure out what our depth chart is. We don't have an official depth chart yet. We're going to kind of treat this game like we would in practice. Of course, there's going to be guys that are with the 1s, and then we're going to have guys with the 2s. But we're going to use this game to help us really finalize our depth chart, figure some things out before we do go play Texas.
Yes. It would be refreshing just to see Nick Saban come out and be like, look, we're going to beat the shit out of these guys. It doesn't matter who we put out at quarterback. We're going to figure things out by a Texas game. This is another scrimmage for us. We don't care.
Man, I don't even know. I watched it today. I sat there and watched the press conference that he had yesterday. And he wasn't even asked. He wasn't even asked about the quarterback position. And but at the end of his opening statement, he goes, and I know everybody wants to know about the depth chart, but you ain't getting it. It's like basically he didn't even have to be provoked, didn't have to be asked about it. He just that was the purpose of the press conference almost. Like Kirby does this too. Kirby will show up sometimes and within 45 seconds you know why he's here. He came with a message to be out here spitting. And it hadn't been that this year from him. There's been no, general overall message that he's walked in except for the first scrimmage. After the first scrimmage, he wanted to let everybody know through the media that they sucked. And he said it. Nobody was good today, right? All these coaches show up with some type of motive or reason, MO, to be there. It's interesting, man. I don't necessarily understand why teams do this over and over again or why coaches do this over and over again, but it is the controlling of the information. And though I think I know football, I've never known these roles. You know what I mean? These roles are totally different. You got to control so much more information and you got to handle so many more different people and you have to appease so many different people that sometimes you just want the information kept. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like that's just kind of the vibes Saban's given off this entire offseason. Everything's kind of kept within the program. Nothing's getting leaked out. You really don't hear anything about the quarterbacks. Very, very, very limited little information. So I think that's just kind of been their tactic. I guess you can call it a tactic. Their tactic this offseason, and who knows?
Look, I'm here. The point remains, as players, we know. All right, so this idea that you're doing this no depth chart thing to protect the sanctity of your players' mental, state, fugazi, boo hockey. It ain't true. All right, so let's move on from that.